Good morning, everyone. So glad to have you here. We have six of us here in the studio and a few online. And I'm very excited about today because today is a very, very special holiday in the land of yoga in India. It's probably the biggest of one of the most important festivals of the year, and it's the festival of Diwali, also known as Deepavali. That word means row of lights because people light thousands and thousands of little candles. And all over India, it's celebrated. And I've heard it said that actually, I've seen a satellite photo taken of a picture of the continent of India on the night of the festival of Diwali, and you can actually see the land glowing because there's so many candles that are lit.
Wow.
So the Festival of Light is a victory celebration. It's a celebration. There are different stories connected with this sense of victory. One of them is the victory where Lord Rama slays the demon king Ravana and he comes back to his kingdom. There's a lot more to the story, but the very short of it is he returns home victorious. And so it is the celebration of Lord Rama returning victorious to his kingdom. And there's also other stories about Krishna slaying a demon. And what this all means, if we think of it as an allegory to ourselves, it's all about the sense of triumph or victory of good over evil, of light over darkness, of consciousness over ignorance, of truth over falsehood. You know, any of those polarities that all human beings everywhere struggle with in our lives, that sense of wanting to be living in the light. And love over fear is another one that I think is an important polarity that many of us struggle with. So it's a victory celebration. So I'd like to bring that into our practice today as an intention, perhaps touching into an area of your life where you're either celebrating a victory, whether it's a small victory or a big significant one, or whether you're looking for and needing that sense of prevailing over some struggle in your life. And it's also, this time, Diwali is also seen as the new year. So it's a time where we leave behind the old, we reflect back on our gratitudes for the past year, and step victoriously, full of light, into the new year. So that is a little bit about what Diwali means. So I'm going to invite you to come into your yogic seat, long spine, whether you're sitting in a chair or sitting on your cushion. If you're on a cushion, hips higher than the knees, and I'll put you on mute so we don't have any distraction. So spine long and lifted, shoulders stacked over hips. So find that little bit of energizing in the core where you can lift your lower ribs away from your hips and roll the shoulders back and down. So we begin our practice and we begin stepping into this new year with an open heart. And take a deep breath in, long, slow, savoring breath. Lift the breath all the way up into your chest. Let it surround your heart. And see if you can sip in a little more breath through the nose. And exhale with a sigh. See what can be offered out in that sigh. Any tension in the body, any heaviness in the heart, any distraction in the mind. And 2 more breaths like that. Lifting the breath up, starting with expanding the belly, widening the ribs, lifting the breath all the way up into the chest. So we breathe in from bottom to top. And exhale, Let go. See where you can soften. Empty chest, empty ribs, empty belly. And at the end of your exhale, you can draw your navel in toward your spine a little bit for a complete release of the breath. And one more. Now, those of you who've been practicing yoga for a while, especially if you've been practicing with me, are probably familiar with the Ujjayi breath, which also is known, coincidentally, as the victorious breath. So I just want to review that to make sure that we all are on the same page with that way of breathing. We not only breathe full breaths, 3-part yogic breaths, belly, ribs, chest, emptying chest, ribs, belly, but we also invite a little contraction in the back of the throat. Not a tight contraction so that you're straining to breathe, but just a little bit of narrowing of the airway so the breath makes a whisper sound as it moves in and out of the back of the throat. And the best way to learn this and to check and see whether that's properly happening for you is to start with mouth open and imagine that you're whispering on your exhale like you're fogging up a mirror with your breath. So take a deep breath in through the nose, open the mouth, and exhale with a you can even hold your mirror. Imagine that you're fogging up the mirror by just creating that little engagement of the epiglottis. So you should feel that contraction and hear that sound. Again, inhale and exhale. So you can actually feel a whisper sound in the back of your throat. Now try it on the inhale. So it's a little bit less tight of a contraction on the inhale because you don't want to restrict the inhale, but you want to just narrow it a little bit so that it warms up the air that's moving down into your lungs. It's like a feather brushing the back of the throat. Now we'll try one more inhale with open mouth. Exhale halfway with open mouth. And then close your lips and keep that little contraction. So now you're sending the breath out your nose, but you're still feeling that little whisper sound in the back of the throat. Now stay with lips closed and see if you can inhale with that same sense of a gentle contraction. Finding your 3-part breath with just a very slight narrowing of the airway. And you can let your eyes close so that you can just invite that sense of going inward. Stay with long spine, soft shoulders. Feeling that whisper sound in the back of the throat, which warms the breath coming into the lungs, slows down the breathing, which creates a calming effect on the nervous system. But Ujjayi also invites a sense of focus and a focused attention and a sense of strength when we're practicing using it during our poses. Victorious breath. And as you take these deep breaths in, just a few more in-breaths and out-breaths with that Ujjayi sound whispering in the back of your throat, I invite you to bring your hands palm over palm to the center of your chest, right over the heart center. And see if there's an area of your life where you're either celebrating victory or want to invite in a sense of prevailing, a sense of being victorious over some challenge in your life. Maybe it's a personal challenge. Maybe it's a challenge for our society as we become growing nearer to the election. Whatever it is that's meaningful for you, where you want to invite in that sense of victory. And breathing into that, bringing that sense of victory into your mind and heart. And let's honor that with the sound of Om, taking a deep breath in. Together, let's chant Om on the exhale. And let your eyes open with a soft gaze. And once again, refresh your posture. And we'll take some seated sun breaths. Arms reach and rise. Let the breath lift the arms. Roll the palms open. Lift the fingers to the sky. Reach through right. Reach through left. Exhale, sweep wide and down. At your own pace, syncing your breath and your movement and your attention. Listening to that ujjayi sound, focusing and calming, whispering in the back of your throat. And we'll take it into a seated twist. Next time, arms reach and rise. Lift skyward and exhale into a twist to your right. Exhale completely, inhale, coming back to center. Exhale completely to your left. Following your own pace of breath, flowing side to side. So we're just opening with those 6 movements of the spine. Keep going. One more round each side. And coming back to center, arms rise. Reach through the right, reach through the left. We're going to take it into eagle arms with your right arm underneath. So sweep cross your elbows, right arm underneath. And so I'm mirroring you here. And let the top arm come a little bit further. Bend the elbows and bring the backs of the hands toward one another. So you want your thumbs pointing toward you. For some people, this will be enough. So turn your hands the other way so your thumb, yeah. So try to touch the backs of your hands if you can. So this is the easiest form of actually the easiest one is just to give yourself a hug because we're trying to open behind the heart. Now, if you can, if it's comfortable to touch the backs of your hands here, you can try taking it a little bit deeper by hooking your pinky and your thumb, still keeping your thumbs pointing toward you. And if that feels okay and that's available, try bringing your hand, which is now your right hand, which is on the left side, to the palm of your opposite hand. Yeah, you got it. And then lift the elbows. So you feel that stretch in the upper arms, shoulders, upper back, maybe finding some circles. So even if you can't get the wrist wrapped like I do, it's fine to just have backs of the hands to one another. And try to get the top arm a little bit more forward in the, yeah, that's it. That's it. So just draw this elbow, yeah, a little forward, and then so that you can get a little bit more room for the wrapping. Yeah. Thumbs point toward you, yeah. And then unwind your arms and let the right arm rise to the sky. Reach up, left palm roots down. Find lots of space and length through that right side of your body and take it into a side bend, reaching long and away. And take a few pulses here. On the inhale, breathing into those fingertips on your right side, reaching over to your left. Exhaling, bending your left arm a little bit more, keeping right sit bone rooting down. Reach long and away. Unshrug the shoulder. Notice if you're scrunching in your right shoulder and see if you can unshrug. Arm is long. And then exhale, release. And feel all that life energy, that prana on your right side. Arms reach and rise, reach through left and right. We're going to bring the left arm underneath now for eagle arms. So palms turn up. This time the right on top is going to reach a little further past that top elbow, a little past. And then see if you can either bring backs of the hands to one another, or hook pinky and thumb, or wrap the wrists so that your fingertips come to your palm. And then once you get whatever your expression of eagle arms is, see if you can explore the territory. You can feel that stretch behind the heart and the upper back, between the shoulder blades, upper arms. So send your breath, your ujjayi breath, into the places where you might notice some tightness there. For some people, this is a very tight stretch. For other people, you can hardly feel it. So see what's true for you. Yeah. And then unwrapping your arms slowly, let the left arm rise, right palm roots down. Find length and space, unshrug that left shoulder, and then take a few pulses here, long and away into your side stretch. Inhaling into your fingertips, exhaling into a little deeper side bend. Send the breath to the space between your ribs. And when you're ready to release, slowly come upright and float that arm down. And we'll take some shoulder rolls. And using an audible exhale to let whatever it is you need to let roll off your shoulders today. Don't be shy about making any noise. All of us have a lot of stuff that we're carrying around on our shoulders. And then rolling forward. This music is for the folks at home, so I'm going to lower it just a little bit. Okay. And then when you're ready, let your shoulders settle in and uncross your legs. That might feel good. Give them a little pat down. And come off of your cushion. Put this over here. Just as you stretch your legs out in front of you, let's bring a little energy to the ankles, the feet, the calves. Point and flex. See if you can point and flex with enough vigor that you actually can feel your sit bones getting massaged there. Can you feel that? Yeah. And then come to sit, centered on your sit bones, and just circle the toes outward in opposite directions. Long, slow, deep, gentle ujjayi breathing here. Circle inward. And then we're going to make our way into table pose. So swing your legs around. And as I demonstrated unofficially before we started the Zoom, for those of you who are using a chair at home, you can, instead of hands and knees, you can do some of these poses just coming into a standing table with your hands on your chair, if that's more comfortable for you. Otherwise, does anyone here need a knee pad? I have a couple of knee pads, or you can place a blanket underneath. Oh, you've got your knee pads? Good. So staying with the ujjayi breaths, breathing slow. One of the benefits of ujjayi is that it slows down the breath a little bit, which has a calming effect on the nervous system. But starting that wave that moves from the tailbone. Inhale, lift the tail, drop the belly, open the heart. Press into the hands and draw the shoulders back. Lift the chin so you're opening the throat. Exhale, tuck the tail, round the spine, chin to chest. Press the floor away. Bring the nose toward the pelvis. And a few more. Exploring a range of motion in cat-cow. Maybe coming up on fingertips if that gives you a little bit more lift in your cat stretch. And then you can come to neutral. Bring your hands forward just a few inches, and we'll find some circles of the knees just to open the hips a little bit, just to lubricate and massage the hips. See how big you can get those circles. And then circle the other way. And then letting the sit bones sink back to the heels, hips centered, coming into your expression of child's pose. Forehead comes down toward the floor. You can stack your hands if the forehead doesn't want to come all the way down, or place a block underneath. Your knees can either be wide apart and your belly comes down in between your thighs, or you can have your belly rest right on top of your thighs. And some of you might benefit from a rolled up blanket or a bolster behind the knees. So I'm going to get a bolster out for you, Will, so that you can just get a sense of relaxation there. Yeah. Good. A couple more deep breaths into your child's pose so that you can invite that release in the low back. Find that stretch through the whole upper back, arms. Yeah. Next, inhale, rise back up into table. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. And slide your right foot back, pressing down and forward into the hands, so you get a nice stretch in the calf muscle. Press the heel back behind you, so really power up that back leg. Give it a little push down and forward. And then bring your shoulders over your wrists again, arm bones stacked, and we're going to take that right foot and slide it as far over to your left as you can. And place all 5 toes down, heel straight up. So we're going to take another side body stretch here. This is going to stretch all the way from your foot to the top of your head. Turn your left ear to the left shoulder and curl up like a crescent moon shape. Look down next to your left hand rather than back at your foot. So you get a stretch on the side of the neck. So you want the whole left side of your body to curve as much as you can, stretching side of the neck, whole side of the torso, side of the leg. So rather than being on your toes, curl your toes under so you can press your ball of your foot down. So yeah. And power up. Don't let the knee bend if you can on that right leg. And then inhale, reach those toes straight back. So now we're going to begin to engage the core a bit. So you're lifting that right leg. Try to level your hips. And if this is uncomfortable on your wrist, you can always be on fists. And finding a long horizontal line through the back body. See if you can lift left hand, reaching left fingers forward, reaching right toes back. Activate your core, navel in and up to support your lengthening spine. Inhale, grow long from toes to fingertips. Exhale, round the back, bring the forearm to the thigh, chin to chest. Yeah. So opposite forearm to thigh. Yep. Inhale, grow long. Exhale, contract around the spine. Navel draw and use that Ujjayi breath. In and out through the nose. One more, expand, grow long. Exhale, contract. Grow long again, one more time. Firm the core, level hips. Looking down so the back of your neck is long, so you don't want to kink the back of the neck, and then bring both hands down. Float that back foot down. Once again, curl your toes under. And here you're going to press into your right hand and lift the left hand to the sky. So we're coming into a twist. Long and wide. And if it feels good, you can bring that upper hand back behind you so the back of your left hand touches your right hip behind you. So you roll that shoulder open and look up at the sky. So you're getting a little bind there. Yeah. And then release, come back into your table. Melt it back into your child's pose as a letting go, release. Notice if you feel a difference between one side of your body and the other. And any noises or any little micro movements to let go and release. rising back up into your table pose. This time, left foot slides back, toes curl under, all 5 toes making contact with the mat. Press down and forward into the hands. Feel that stretch in the calf. Oh yeah, press out through the heel, giving that little push down and forward. And then the shoulders come over the wrists, and we'll slide that left foot as far over to the right as you can, but keeping all 5 toes down. You're on the ball of your foot. Toes curl under and heel straight up. And take that, you're kind of curling up like the letter C, bringing your right ear to your right shoulder without shrugging your shoulders. See if you can find a little more space between the shoulders and the head. Look down beside your right hand and breathe some space between the ribs and feel that stretch through the whole left side of your body. See if you can curl up a little more as that letter C. And then as you inhale, bring that foot back behind you and reach those toes straight out behind you. Activate your belly muscles, abdominal muscles, drawing in and up. Long line through the body, and if you can, reach your right hand forward. It's okay to be on your left fist if that's easier for the wrist. And see if you can grow an inch longer from those left toes to your right fingertips. Look down so that the back of your neck stays long. Reach out through the crown of your head and exhale. Slowly bring the forearm to the thigh, chin to chest, and you take that cat stretch. Inhale long. Exhale, round the back, forearm to thigh. Yeah. It's a stability practice here. Inhale, grow long. Exhale, contract. Another round. Flowing with Ujjayi breath, victorious breath. And then grow long one more time. Hold here if you can. Not holding the breath, but just holding the pose. Yeah. And then you can bring both hands down, float that foot down, curl the toes under. And now you'll press into your left hand and let the right hand rise to the sky. Here you want to try to find a long line from your lower hand to your upper hand, stacking one shoulder on top of the other. And if it feels good, you can bring your upper hand back behind you, back of the hand to the opposite hip, inviting the shoulder to roll open, elbow roll open, look up at the sky. That just deepens your twist. And then release, unwind, and find any movements that feel good here, any intuitive wiggles, waggles. If it feels good, you can sink it back into your child again. Yeah. Now I'm going to invite you to come into, in a moment, your downward facing dog, which may or may not be appropriate for everyone here in this class. So I'm going to show you a couple of different options. So why don't you come up onto your table, into your table pose so you can watch me. I know several of you at home are very comfortable with down dog, so if you're ready, you can come right into your downward facing dog. For those of you who might not be, who are just getting back to yoga after a long time or just might not be comfortable with it yet, here's a few options. You want to spread the fingers wide so middle fingers are straight ahead, toes curl under. And remember when we did that cat-cow, rounding the spine one way and then tilting the pelvis the other way, you want to come into that cow tilt so that the belly drops, tailbone lifts, and you're pressing your low belly toward your thighs. From that pelvic tilt, curl your toes under and press down and forward into your hands, starting with keeping knees bent. So you have a long line. You want to find that long line from your hips to your hands, heart melting down low, pressing down and away with the hands into the fingers and thumbs and roots of the fingers, not bearing the weight in the heel of the hand. So you want to find that diagonal line and then eventually straightening one leg at a time, taking your dog for a slow sauntering walk, bending the other leg one at a time. So that's just the warm up into down dog, pressing low belly toward the thighs. I'm going to have you do that in a moment, and at any point you can always lower your knees down. You can always do that puppy stretch that we did last time, or do your child. So I'm going to let those of you who want to come into your downward facing dog to come into it, and I'll see if anyone needs any coaching. You can also do it on a chair like this, pressing into the chair, letting your heart melt down low. Yeah. It's fine to do puppy. Good. So you can be even a little bit longer, have your hands forward a little bit more, and let the head relax so your ears come in line with your upper arms. Just relax the head a little bit. Heart comes down to the place between your feet. And slowly release by floating the knees down. So I've seen one person here, and I've seen other people quite a bit feel like you want to protect your wrists, and so I've seen people come onto fists. I want to invite you to try, if you really press into this part of your hand and your fingers, and imagine that you've got like a cotton ball underneath your heel of your hand, so you're not bearing the weight there. If you bear the weight in the heel of your hand, then you're going to feel it more in your wrists. But if you think about wanting to lengthen your mat as if you're going to tear the front of your mat off or stretch it long, and imagine like maybe like a quarter-inch lift of your heel of your hand in the mat, that will take the pressure off of your wrists. So see, just give it a try and see if that works for you. So one more time, starting in table, find that cow tilt, toes curl under, and press back. Keep your knees bent as much as you need to begin, and then you can take it into a slow walk. So really push, push, push. Does that feel a little bit better there? Yeah, and you don't have to hold it for very long. Those of you who feel ready to straighten both legs, either sending both heels down into the earth, whenever you need to come out, you can always melt your knees down. But what it wants to look like when you're in your full expression is legs straight, heels down into the earth, heart melts low, a long diagonal line from hips through fingers and sit bones to heels. If your hamstrings are tight and it makes your back round and brings your shoulders forward, then just take a little bend in the knees, keep the heels lifted. And then come down back into your table pose. All right, good. So this is going to strengthen the shoulders. It lengthens through the spine. It stretches the backs of the legs. Now we're going to take it into a lunge. So here's where your blocks might be helpful. Those of you who use blocks for lunge, I'll face you here. Or you can be up on fingertips. I'm going to invite you to bring your right foot forward. I'll mirror you. And come into a low lunge, sliding left knee back. Be on fingertips or blocks under the shoulders so you can relax your shoulders, lengthen through your spine. And enjoy that nice stretch in the front of the hip flexor on the left side. Sending your ujjayi, gentle ujjayi breath into that front of the left hip, relaxing shoulders, lengthening spine. And you can either stay here, and it's always fine to back off and straighten one leg for a moment and come back into it and find that pulse if that feels good. Others who want to come up either onto your blocks, underneath your shoulders, relaxing shoulders can do that. Shoulders over hips here. And then activating the inner thighs toward the center. See if you can bring your hands up into that. We'll take it into a victorious mudra. So you can bring it into, I always think of Richard Nixon when I do this, but victory hands. Thinking about touching back into that area of your life where you're celebrating victory or inviting victory. Shoulders down, heart open, big breath in. Exhale, hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers and open the heart. If you need to, grab your strap and have your hands in a little bit apart to do that, just so that we can invite the victory of keeping our heart open, even in the face of fear. Big breath in. Exhale, release, and bring the hands back down to either blocks or under your shoulders and come into a runner stretch, bringing the hips back. So you're going to straighten that front leg. You're going to be on your heel, lifting the toes. You can just point and flex for a moment. Squaring your hips and shoulders to the front. So either lean into blocks underneath your shoulders or fingertips. And then keep the foot flexed, lengthen out, flat back, bow down. So you're going to feel a really juicy stretch in the back of the leg here. Can you feel that? Yum, yum. So the idea here is not to go down necessarily to have your head reach your leg, but to lengthen out and fold as far as you can comfortably fold, leading with the heart, flat back. So if I go this way, my back is flat. I'm not coming into a rounded spine. So what's more important is you keep the spine long, fold from your hip crease rather than flex the spine. Breathe and enjoy. And then you can find a little pulse here. Backing off on the inhale, lengthening. Exhale, deepen, lead from the heart. Keep the back of the neck long. A couple of more breaths there into that nice, yummy runner stretch. And then back into your lunge. So roll that foot down. You're going to need to bring your hands forward so they stay underneath your shoulders. And we have an opportunity here to take it into a twist. So with your right foot forward, you can bring your left palm down to the floor under your shoulder, right palm onto your thigh, and just press twist to roll that upper shoulder back, lengthen out all the way through the spine, out through the crown of the head. And those of you who want to take this deeper can curl the back toes under, lift up into a high lunge, and maybe lift that right hand to the sky, long and wide into a full revolved side angle pose. Otherwise, just stay with the press twist. So you actually want to press this hand into the floor and this hand into your thigh. Yeah, so you can feel your spine twisting there. Exhale, release, float that upper hand down, and step back into table. Those of you who are experienced yogis and enjoy taking it into plank, to knees, chest, chin, to cobra, can take that and come back into your downward facing dog if you enjoy that. Those of you who just want to press it back to a down dog can take a moment in down dog. See how that feels. All right. Beautiful down dogs, everyone. All right. And then floating the knees down, bring your left foot forward. We'll take it into that lunge. Slide your right knee back. Use padding if you need to. Notice if there's any scrunchasana going in the shoulders, and relax your shoulders away from your ears. Long spine, we want the pelvis to root down into the earth. Use your blocks if that helps you be able to relax your shoulders. So make sure that your knee is over your ankle, so you might need to scoot your foot forward a little. There you go. Front leg straight up and down. And just take another breath to release and relax. And you can either stay here, finding a slow pulse, on the exhale releasing, on the inhale backing off a little. And if it's available to you, coming up either hands onto thighs, steadying, activating the core, activating inner thighs toward the center to steady yourself, finding that victorious mudra, relaxing your shoulders. Really come into that gesture in your body where you're really celebrating that sense of being victorious. Navel lifts in and up, tail roots down. Exhale, hands meet back behind you. Open the heart, squeeze the shoulder blades toward the center. Big breath in. And then exhale, release. Slide the blocks back a little so they stay under your shoulders, or hands come back. And take it into your runner stretch. Point and flex. Back of the leg is as straight as you can comfortably get it, and then keep the foot flexed. Lengthen out, fold from the hip crease, lead with the heart. Here we have the opportunity to dance with your edge, to find the place where the sensation is strong, where you want to go, oh yeah. Not pushing to the point of pain, but just it's kind of like dancing with the edge of your comfort zone. And that's how the releases happen. Challenge yourself just enough to feel a little fire, but not to the place where you're grimacing and tensing up. Don't want to invite any pain. On every inhale, you back off a little bit, lift up, and lengthen from root to crown. And every exhale, lead with the heart bowing down. Take another couple of breaths here. Flat back. Beautiful. And then we're going to roll that foot down so you're back into your lunge, and we'll take a twist. So you can press your right hand down into the floor, your left hand down to your thigh. And then press into both hands, into the floor and into your thigh, just to get that spinal rotation. Maybe curling back toes under, lifting up into high lunge, maybe lifting that upper hand to the sky, or you can keep your knee down, growing long and wide if you're in that full revolved side angle. Big breath in, exhale, release. Step it back into table pose. Let's actually take it into plank. Curl the toes under. As some of you might want to have a knee down plank if you feel that holding a full plank is, you're not quite ready for it yet. Otherwise, take your body into one long line, noticing if the hips sag down or stick up in the air. Yeah, firm core. And then lower down, knees, and lower all the way down onto your belly for a moment, bringing the forehead down. Point your toes. Press all 10 toes down into the mat. I want to take a cobra pose. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Fingertips line up under the shoulders. Elbows snuggle in. Inhale, draw the crown of the head forward and roll the head up. Roll the shoulders and chest off of the mat. Really try to squeeze your shoulder blades toward one another. Keep the toes connected. Lift, 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 without pressing your hands into the floor. Just see if you can use your back muscles here. You can even play with lifting your hands off. See if you can keep your toes connected doing that. Lift your hands back behind you. I'll turn sideways so people at home can see a little better view. Maybe clasping hands if that's available, or fingers separated. And then make a pillow with the hands. Turn a cheek to one side and let everything go. You can just rock the hips side to side for a moment to release any tension in the low back. And I'm going to invite you to take Cobra one more time. You can do just what you did, just lifting chest and letting the hands just be under the shoulders for balance. Or for those of you whose bodies are open to it, can press into the hands, keeping elbows bent, keeping shoulders rolling back and down, as if your shoulder blades are going to slide down your back into your back pocket. But keeping pelvis rooted down and round, arching the back, looking up, elbows bent. Yeah, that's it, that's it. Rolling down. Forehead down. Make a pillow with your hands, turn the cheek the other way, and relax. All right. Bend the knees, windshield wipe the legs side to side. All right. Then float the feet down back behind you. Slide the hands under the shoulders and press up into your table. Take a nice cat stretch. So we move the spine the other way. And we're going to come up to standing. And one of the ways that you can transition to standing is to curl the toes under, press back into a down dog, and then walk the feet forward, coming up onto fingertips, coming into a forward bend. Keep your knees bent as much as you need to protect your low back. Some of you if it's not appropriate for you to have your head hanging down to come into a full fold, you can come into a half fold, fingertips into shins, or come into a full fold here, just letting the spine pour out of the pelvis. Find some movement of the head. Yes, no, maybe. You might want to have your hands on a block. If your hands are just hanging, then just have your block there so that you can support yourself and fold in nice and close. Maybe you even want to bring your hands behind your calves and invite a little deeper fold here. Let the weight of the head invite a lengthening of the spine. And then slide the hands up the shins so you find a long spine. Now really feel that navel draw in and up to support a flat back here, shoulders in line with hips. Long flat back, unshrug the shoulders, grow long from your tailbone to the crown of your head, and then exhale, fold again. Let it all go. Soften the knees. You can bring your hands to your thighs for a little support to roll up one vertebra at a time, stacking one bone on top of another. Slowly come up to standing. You might find yourself a little lightheaded, so go real slow. Shoulders roll back and down to come to mountain pose. Okay. Wonderful. I would like to do a standing sequence. Warrior One. Okay, since our theme today has to do with victory. So I think the Warrior One pose would be an appropriate pose. There have been studies that have shown that when we hold the body, even for just 2 minutes, in a pose that's determined to be a pose of power, of strength and power, it actually changes your brain chemistry. And when your brain chemistry changes, your thoughts about yourself change. And when your thoughts about yourself change, your actions change. And when your actions change, the way people respond to you changes. So never underestimate the power of these poses in a very concrete way, the changes that they can bring into your lives. Feet hip-width apart in your mountain pose, first steady and comfortable mountain. Shoulders over hips, a little navel lift, tail roots down, so find that pelvic tilt so that the pubic bone comes forward just a little bit, so you're lengthening through your low back. Feel yourself standing victorious in your mountain pose. Ujjayi breath. Then you can step back with your right foot about a leg length and turn the back heel inward 45 degrees. So the toes are turned out on the back foot, toes on the front foot point straight ahead. Your front knee is bent, so your knee is over ankle. I'll turn sideways so that you can see. You want to try to get as close to a 90-degree angle with that front leg as you can. Some of you will find it more comfortable with 45 degrees. But you want to square your hips so that your hip pointers, what I call the headlights, are pointing straight ahead. Back leg is straight, so notice if that knee is bending. Outer edge of the back foot presses into the mat. Good. Notice if you're leaning forward and you want to start with your shoulders over your hips, so you want to find that vertical line through your spine. If you're doing this at home with a chair, you can bring one knee close to the back of the chair and just hold on like this. Maybe you'll just do one hand when we lift hands to the sky. So that's fine. So your right foot is back, hip squared. So you're going to draw that right hip forward, left hip back a little bit, activate through the core, and lift the hands. Relax the shoulders, open heart, and bring into your mind, body, and heart that sense of being victorious. Maybe even taking that victory, the Richard Nixon mudra. Big breath in. And exhale, again, that courageous warrior. Clasping hands or grabbing your strap if you need to. Opening the heart, squeezing shoulder blades toward one another. And then we can also play with hands lifting, what I call opening and offering. Opening to your own power and strength, Exhale, tying a diagonal line from your heel to your head, bowing forward over that front leg, hands reaching back. Inhale, rising up, opening to grace, to energy, to prana, life force. Exhale, making yourself an instrument of that power and life force in our words, thoughts, and actions. Inhale, reaching up, strength, energy. Exhale, being a conduit for that energy. Inhale, once again, rising up, and palms come together, hands come to the heart in prayer. The most powerful kind of warrior is that warrior where we're aligned in our words, thoughts, and actions. And then when you're ready, you can step up, back into your mountain pose. Feel the difference between your right and left side. Powerful warriors. Step back with the other foot. So now your left foot comes back. And if I'm mirroring you, be like this, knee over ankle. The trickiest part with this expression of warrior, there's a few different versions of this pose. We're doing kind of the classical standard warrior one pose. Sometimes you can do it on the ball of your back foot, but that's a little harder to balance. This one is easier to balance, but a little harder to get the hips squared. If you find that your hips are turning out to the side, you can step your back foot out a little bit to the side a little more, so you have a little wider stance, and that makes it a little easier to square those hips. So see what's true for you. And also, if you feel that your legs get fatigued in this pose, you can always straighten the front leg for a moment, gather your energy, and land powerfully back in it. Bring the pubic bone forward, so you're going to feel that stretch in the psoas. Root down through the outer edge of that back foot, and then find your victory mudra. Ujjayi breath, victory hands. Feeling yourself victorious as you move forward in whatever areas of your life you need to find your inner strength, courage, fortitude, determination. Exhale, hands back behind you. Courage to move forward with an open heart. Courageous warrior. Inhale, opening to grace, strength, power. Exhale, moving forward with a sense of humility, making all of your words, thoughts, and actions an offering. So exhaling into that spirit of offering. Inhale, finding your power. Exhale, being an instrument. Humility, power, and grace. Hands reaching skyward, palms come together. Bring your hands to your heart. Touching once more into your intention for victory. And then slowly stepping up into your mountain pose. Just pause and notice how you feel. Maybe you notice some warmth. Maybe you notice a little bit more invigorating heartbeat, pulse, energy. That's your aliveness. That's your prana. And then take any shakeouts, any wiggles and waggles that feel good in your body. We're going to come into a balance flow. We're going to do the crane pose. And what I'd like to do is actually, some of you may want to do this off of your mat. Some of you may want to do this with a fingertip close enough to the wall that you can bring a fingertip against the wall. I want to begin with a dynamic flow. This is kind of a something that is very similar to a Qigong move, if anyone has ever practiced Qigong. Your arms are going to rise, elbows soft, wrists soft, shoulders soft. So it's a gentle, elegant open wings. And then one leg is going to lift up. Your standing leg is going to have a micro bend in the knee, but not a deep bend, just an unlocking of the knee. Other knee lifts to hip height. And you're going to exhale, bring that foot down. At the end of your exhale, cross your wings, which is just at the wrists. Inhale, open your wings, lift the other leg to knee to hip height. Exhale, shift your weight at the bottom of your breath. Inhale, open your wings. So you're syncing up your movement and your breath and your attention, so that at the top of your breath you lift up in your crane, keeping the shoulders and wings soft, elbows, wrists soft, fixing your gaze into a spot on the floor a few feet in front of you, which is called your drishti point, or your point of mental focus. And see if you can sync up so that on the top of the inhale, your knee is lifted and your wings are open. Bottom of the exhale, you're shifting weight, crossing wings. And if you want to take it a little deeper, you can come into flexing the spine, chin to chest on the exhale, opening your heart on the inhale, exhale, rounding. So it becomes a little bit more of a challenge that way. That's optional. Crane taking flight. And the next time you lift whatever side you're on, see if you can hold here. And if you find you lose your balance, just dip your toe in the water. You can be the crane dipping its toe in the water. Standing leg just has a micro bend in the knee so you don't hyperextend. We don't want to be tight in the shoulders or stiff in the wings. You still want those soft, graceful wings. Softness in the face, muscles around the eyes, and if you're using a chair, you can always have one fingertip on the chair or a fingertip against the wall. Ujjayi breath. And when you're ready to switch, very gracefully, see if you can do it without falling out of the pose, but gracefully, mindfully, opening your wings to the other side. And notice if your foot is wanting to draw back like this, just let the foot hang down right under the knee. And see if you can energize the lifted leg enough so that it stays knee at hip height. It's fine to have a touching the wall if you need to. Yeah. Or dipping the toe in the water. And when you're ready to release, come back into your mountain pose. Beautiful. Okay, let's come down onto the mat, into Dandasana pose, the staff pose, and I'll turn this way so the folks at home can see the alignment. Very much like mountain pose, except you're folded at the hip. Sorry, Camille. Yeah. All right, put this here. So you're centered on your sit bones, feet hip width apart, feet flexed so the legs are energized, shoulders over hips. And we're going to begin with coming into a seated twist. So slide your right heel close to your buttock. Fold your knee in as close as you can comfortably fold it. Now, you can either keep your foot here so that your right foot is inside your left leg, or for a little more challenge, you can cross over if it's available in your body to cross over and have the outer edge of your right foot next to your left thigh. Heel as close to the opposite hip as you can. Lengthen up, so find that active lifted spine, and then you're going to wrap your left arm around your leg. Now for some of you it might just be your hand that you can get there. Others can wrap the crook of the elbow to the knee. Lengthen up and reach your right hand forward so that you're looking over your middle finger. And then follow your gaze around back behind you so that your fingers are pointing straight back, and see if you can keep your gaze fixed on that finger reaching straight back. So now your arm and your shoulders and your chest are parallel to the side of your mat, right side of your mat. Bring your hand down back behind you. Place the heel of the hand as close to your low back, not too far away, because then you're going to lean back. Press down into that either fist or flat palm. Lift up and hug that bent knee in toward your chest to give you leverage for the twist. On the inhale, you're going to back off a little. And on the exhale, you're going to invite the length on the inhale from root to crown, from the tailbone to the top of your head. Exhale, lead with the heart, look over your right shoulder, and try to find a few pulses like that. For those of you who are experienced yogis or have enough flexibility in your body, you can bring the upper left arm outside the thigh for a little more leverage for that twist. No need to force. Yeah. Inhale, release, and back off of the twist, and we're going to take it right into the cradle the baby pose. So now you'll take your right leg and see if you can bring, you want to be centered on your sit bone, see if you can bring that lower leg into your arms like you're cradling a baby. Might just be that you're going to have hand at knee and ankle. If it's available, place knee and foot in the crook of the elbow, clasp hands. Try to get that lower leg as close to parallel as you can. If it's not that, if it won't go that way, so rather than hugging it in like this, you want to try to turn it to the side. You're looking for a hip opener. Yeah. So find how you're supposed to, what you want to feel, if you can, is a stretch in the glutes there. You're getting a hip opener, and you might feel a stretch in the inner thigh. If it's available, foot comes close to opposite shoulder, lower leg parallel to the floor, or as close as you can comfortably get it. Hug that lower leg in. And you can even play with this by bringing the lower leg under to the crook of the elbow, pressing away into your knee. Just go for the juice. Go for that oh yeah feeling. And send your Ujjayi breath into that place. Maybe even both elbows underneath. So this is a way to take it deeper. It's fine to do the most gentle expression of the pose if you're feeling the stretch. You're feeling a stretch there? Then you're getting just as much benefit. It's what you feel, not what it looks like from the outside. And then releasing the cradle the baby, take the sole of the foot, bring it to the inside of your thigh of your extended leg. So your right foot is right inside your left thigh. So you're kind of in a tree pose, seated. Square your hips to the front, arms rise to the sky. We'll take it into a fold. So lengthen out, and without going into Shlumpasana with the head coming all the way down, just find the place where you can lengthen your spine, fold from the crease of the hips, and lead with the heart. That's how you're going to get that nice stretch in that lower leg, or in that extended leg. You might feel it in the hamstring, you might feel it in the calf. You might feel an opening in the hip here as the outside of the thigh draws down toward the floor. Square your shoulders to the front of your mat. Every inhale, lengthen out. Every exhale, deepen into the fold. Yum, yum. This is called Janu Shirshasana, head to knee pose, but don't let the name of the pose fool you to think that you have to have your head down. It's just a direction, an invitation. And then the hands slide back, so you come back up into your seated Dandasana pose to transition to the other side. Now, your left heel is going to come in as close to your buttock as you can. So fold your knee as close, as tight as it will allow. And either keep your foot there or cross it over to the other side. Heel close to opposite hip. Wrap your right arm around, lengthen up, centered on your sit bones. Elegant, open heart. Reach your fingertips forward on your left hand. Follow that middle finger all the way around back behind you. So you find that whole lovely twist in your spine. Bring your hand down, palm or fist, behind your low back, behind your buttocks. Lift up on the inhale. Exhale, deepen into the twist. Backing off just a little to invite length from tail to top of the head. Exhale, deepening into the twist. Leading with the heart, let the head follow. If it feels available, you can bring upper arm outside of thigh. And if you're doing this in a chair, you can just cross one leg over, bring upper above ankle to outside of thigh, and just do it like so. Releasing the twist when you're ready, taking it into your cradle the baby on this side. Centered on the sit bones, so notice if your body is going into Shalampasana here, and try to stay in that center of your sit bones so you can elongate up through the spine. Foot close to as close to the opposite shoulder as you can. Maybe bring your hand to the outside of your thigh, yeah, so you can invite it to come in as close as it wants to go, and breathe and enjoy, and let it be an opportunity to celebrate your body just as it is. Not expecting your body to do anything that anyone else does, but just being with the range of motion and flexibility you have today, and honoring that, celebrating that. If it's available to take any of those variations that you did on the other side, bringing lower leg to crook of elbow, pressing inside of knee away to get a little bit more hip rotation, or both arms, both elbows underneath lower leg, hug it in. Go for that oh yeah moment. And then the sole of the foot is going to come inside the opposite thigh, and take a moment to square your hips, square your shoulders to the front, flex your foot on your extended leg, lengthen the hands to the sky, and take it into a fold. And you can grab either your toes, your foot, or your ankle, or your calf, wherever you can find access to your leg to get a little bit of leverage for this forward bend. On the inhale, you back off and you invite that sense of an arrow going right through the spine, from the tailbone to the top of your head, so that there's no rounding of the spine. And fold from the hip crease, leading with the heart. Keep the back of the neck long, so pay attention to what angle your chin is at to invite that long back of the neck. Beautiful, everyone. One more breath. Release the hands, let them slide back, come upright. Straighten out your legs, shake them out. We're going to come onto the back. So you can, here's a nice way to transition down. You can come down any way that you want. If it's more comfortable for you to come onto your side and bring your legs to prepare for bridge, you can do that. Otherwise, if you want a little more challenge, you can place your feet flat on the mat, turn your palms up, and see if you can roll down one vertebra at a time, but keep your feet down. That's a challenge. That activates your belly. And then walk your heels as close to your buttocks as you can, hands down by your sides. We'll take a few rolls. Inhale, lift the sacrum, lift the lumbar spine, lift the middle back, lift the upper back, press the hips higher than the heart. Exhale, roll down. From upper back, down to the middle back, down to the low back, down to the sacrum. See if you can imagine your spine being like that string of pearls, one pearl at a time, lifting and lowering. Engage that Ujjayi breath. So a slow whisper sound rolling up as you inhale. A slow whisper sound. That slow exhale will help you have control and roll down nice and slow. And then on the next inhale, if you're ready to hold, you can lift and hold your bridge for 3 to 5 deep breaths, pressing the hip pointers higher than the hips. Lift, 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 and activate the inner thighs so that the knees stay over the ankles, your feet are flat. You want to notice if the knees want to splay apart and keep them centered over your ankles. Lift, lift, lift. If some of you might want to roll your upper arms under the back and interlace your fingers with arms straight, pressing your hands and lower arms down into the mat, that can help you hold that lift if that's comfortable for you. In and out, Ujjayi here. Anytime we're in a pose that takes some effort, that Ujjayi breath, the victorious breath, will help you sustain it with concentration and focus. Keep the breath nice, long, and slow, and warm. And when you're ready to release, you can release your hands if they're clasped and slowly roll down with that same control, one vertebra at a time. Let's just take, before we go into Shavasana, let's take a moment of a very gentle inversion. So lift your hips just so the lower back lifts enough so that you can slide a block in the flattest setting underneath your sacrum. Not in the sensitive lumbar curve, but just right in on the sacrum so that the edge of the block is right above the butt crack. And maybe you just want to stay here with a little moment of restorative hips elevated. Hands down by your side. And if it's comfortable, you can raise your feet to the into the air so that your legs come perpendicular to the floor. This is a kind of a gentle modification of the Oh, you have one underneath. I didn't see your shirt was hiding it, so I couldn't see. Yeah, it might be a little bit too high, the block, so you might want to lower it just a couple of inches down. Yeah, there you go. So it's not pressing into the sensitive low back. Yeah. So inversions are a way that we allow the blood and the fluids to come from the lower extremities back down toward the upper body, nourishing the heart, nourishing the glands and the throat and the head, the thyroid, the parathyroid, the pineal gland, the pituitary gland. This is a very gentle version of an inversion. And I think next time we'll probably work on shoulder stand. If you are really comfortable with shoulder stand, it's something that's part of your practice and you want to take a full shoulder stand, you can today for a few moments. Otherwise, just enjoy this few moments of a gentle inversion with elevated hips. Inversions also allow the organs that are in the lower abdominal region to get a little bit of the weight and pressure off of them and allow some of the fluids to drain, lymph to drain. Long, slow, deep breaths. And when you're ready, you can slowly float your feet down to the floor. Press your feet into the floor so that you can lift your hips just enough to slide your block away. And slowly roll down. Hugging your thighs in toward your chest. Give yourself an embrace. Maybe rocking side to side on your back. Giving your back back, a little massage. And then as you're ready, releasing the legs, I invite you to come into Shavasana, the corpse pose, sliding your feet away. And if anyone here needs a bolster at home, if you have your bolster available, you can place it under your knees. If anyone here would like a bolster under your knees to relieve any pressure on the low back, just let me know. Just put a finger in the air. And when we come into Shavasana, there is no holding in the body. What do you need? Let the palms turn up so we enter into that gesture of receptivity. You can even take a little tuck of the shoulder blades toward one another. Allow the toes to naturally turn out in opposite directions. Everything letting go. Nothing to do here. Nothing to achieve, nothing to strive for. Only to let your body surrender into the earth beneath you. It's the irony of complete surrender being the way that we can achieve victory over the busy mind that is continually pulling us into future, projection and worry, or ruminating about the past, or thoughts of self-doubt. When we fully and deeply and completely surrender into the stillness of the present moment, that is where true victory is found. We have a moment to taste and experience the miracle of simply being. In the light of love, we are whole. In the light We are whole in the light of love. We are home in the light of love. We heal and sing. Thy will be done. In the light of love. Slowly begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your body in present time. Bring some movement into your fingers and toes. Find any movements that help you transition to rolling over onto your side. And slowly press yourself up to a seated position, either on the floor or in your chair. In the light of love, we are whole. In the light of love, we are home. In the light of love, we heal and sing. Thy will be done. In the light of love. In the light of love. And once again, bringing your palm over palm right to the heart center, as we did in the beginning of our practice, to touch into that sense of the inner light, that inner victory that you're inviting or celebrating. And on this sacred festival of lights, Diwali, I'd like to close our practice with this beautiful Diwali prayer. May the light of love and devotion shine brightly in your hearts. May the light of understanding shine in your minds. May the light of harmony glow in your home. May the light of service shine forth ceaselessly from your hands. May the light of peace emanate from your being. May your presence light the lamps of love and peace wherever you go. May your smile, your words, and your actions be as sweet as the sweets of this festive season. May Mahalakshmi, who's the goddess of abundance, bring you the true wealth of health, happiness, peace, and spiritual upliftment. And those of you who wish to can join me in closing our practice with the sound of Om. We can offer each other the salutation with hands in prayer, Namaste, which means the light in me sees and bows to the light in you. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you.